So y'all have been nominated for the Pep Rally team. First of all, give yourself a pat on the back, because let's face it, you made it big. It's intense, I know. But things are gonna get more intense from here. Here's a rundown. First of all, this Pep Rally team, this is not just a Pep Rally team to record pep rallies. That is not what it is. The Pep Rally team is a team that goes to the actual games, that goes all the way over to the SAC and other places like that, and records either band, color guard, cheer, dance, and football. All of them being very, very complex and different in their own styles, I guess. There's I guess 4 specific sections for how to make it as smooth as possible, I guess, for the Pep Rally team. One of them being film, the second one being editing, the third one being socializing and stuff, and the fourth one being the work ethics. The first section, film, is more dedicated towards the film side of things. It mostly dedicates time from the actual game. For example, when you're in the game, you record stuff in there. You don't just stand on the sidelines and just record stuff from the benches and stuff. You actually go real close to the band, color guard, the football, the cheer, the dance, anything. You can't just be there and not know where to be. You can't be afraid to explore. For me, for band, I was afraid to go up to the sidelines where they were up in the benches, and I thought that was a restricted area for them, and that turned out not to be the case. I could go up there and record them, while they perform all these different songs in any other game. And that goes for every single other section, I guess. You can go up for dance, you can go up for cheer, you can go up for football. You can stand in the grass where the football players, play and stuff. That's something you can do. Don't be afraid to explore. There's also the whole halftime issue, I guess. Well, it's not an issue, but it was an issue for me when I was first starting. At first I didn't know that I could actually go where the band went, in general. I did not know any of band specifics, but I did get to exploring, and I realized that I could record them right as they're practicing for the midtime performance, which was actually very helpful to know, because that's where you're gonna record more color guard, if any of y'all are into that section, I guess. For dance and cheer, dance, it's pretty helpful to record them up in the sidelines as well, but it's also pretty helpful to record them down there in the mid-performance, so you can still be in the grass while they're performing in the middle of that. There's also the issue of football. Football itself is more, complex, but you can still film. You can still film them. You can run, you can go from here, from there, from up there, down there. Doesn't matter. You can go anywhere, because let's face it, it's football. You gotta move a lot for that. For filming, it's pretty important to get a lot of clips. Every single game I was in, I got at least 200 clips, just to be safe. You never know when you're gonna need an extra set of clips for a separate video, or for just in general, I guess. And there's a lot of clips in the game. For cheer, they don't really do much. I mean, they do a little bit. They just do the whole dancing and stuff, but besides that, they don't really get into flipping each other or whatever. It's just them being it's somewhat awkward to record. You get to be up close to them, but once you get a hang of their movements and stuff, you can really just record them pretty easily. It shouldn't be that hard. Same thing with dance. Another thing with film is that you need to have specific options for it, sort of. The camera settings need to be 60 FPS, no matter what. If you don't have 60 FPS, it's gonna look choppy. It's gonna be and that's not gonna look pretty for a really big cinematic screen that we're gonna show to 1,000 people. We also need to keep the ISO to 800, depending on the day. Mostly we had to use it to 800 because it got pretty bright outside. It was really weird. If it's too dark, then you should totally mess with the aperture and stuff. It really helps. It also makes a really good shot sometimes, honestly, messing with the aperture. White balance always needs to be kept on auto, no matter what. That, I don't know why, it's just, it looks better. You can't, I mean, it's really hard to mess with the white balance once you're in there. Like once you're in the shadow, like it's really hard to just switch it over and over and over and over and over again. It gets tedious and it gets pretty annoying, let's face it. So your best bet is to just keep it on auto. That's it for filming. The second sort of like level up from this is the editing aspect. One of the main things that I used to do on the Pep Rally team was editing. There was a lot of editing in my part. It was sort of intense, mostly because of how long it took. Don't be afraid to use your 4th and 5th period if you're a senior. If you have a 4th and 5th period as a senior, then you might have a little bit less time to edit, but it doesn't matter. Because Mr. Sanchez is pretty flexible with the time you have. Don't be afraid to come in 4th and 5th. It's pretty important to edit and stuff. It's pretty important to take time to edit. It's pretty big. It's one of the main reasons why the Pep Rally team is feared as to be such a Goliath of filming and stuff. For Final Cut Pro, don't be afraid to actually mess with the effects and stuff they have, because they have pretty good effects, believe it or not. It's pretty helpful. Like there was one effect I used a lot. It was the fade to color effect. It was used to transition from either band to color guard or color guard to football, and it was also used to create a sort of illusion. Like, you know, it makes it smoother for the eye to see, I guess. I don't know. Song choice is extremely important. You want to get that before the game actually starts, or like within the game. You want to get that prepared the weekend you get the clips, because it is pretty dang important to get that. If you come in on Monday and if you don't have a song, you're gonna be struggling to find out what you really want to use. It's really hard sometimes to get a song, so you want to get that prepared as soon as possible. And if you usually think, hey, this video doesn't look the best, it's not the best quality, it's not the best whatever. If it's your first time doing this, don't worry, it's not that big a deal. It's pretty hard the first time. It took me about 2 weeks to get it just right, and even so I was still like learning and then I got good at it. I get these things take time, so don't worry if you don't get it the first time. The third sort of section is the social aspect of it. This Pep Rally job thing, it's a job. It's a job, let's face it. You gotta go in and out, you gotta clock in and out, you gotta go to the games, you gotta record the games, you gotta get on the footage for editing and stuff, and then from editing you still gotta spend a lot of time in that. It's a job, so we gotta treat it like a job. So it's like you can't use a lot of your time in the games to just socialize. I mean it's okay to socialize sometimes, but within the game it's pretty important that you go record and stuff. You can even interact with the band people sometimes to record. You can tell them, hey, you can do like a specific pose or like a specific action that you want to do for the Pep Rally video. It's totally fine. Just, you know, be aware of your time. Time management is important for these kinds of things. It's also pretty important, you know, to be okay with color guard. Color guard is pretty, they're a pretty hyperactive group, and it's pretty cool to hang out with them as well. Main reason why I bring out color guard into the equation is because color guard are the ones who are paying, well not paying, they're the ones who are taking you to the outside games. Like for example, if you're going to Laredo to go to like a Laredo AVJ, they're gonna be the ones to, you know, take you all the way to Laredo and let you record and stuff. You should, you know, get well acquainted with them. They're pretty cool, honestly. There's also the issue of like band directors. Band directors are not as scary as you think they are. They're pretty chill for the most part. If you don't mess with any of the band kids, or if you don't, you know, mess with them in general, they should be okay with you running around recording everyone and stuff. And they'll even like try to get you to record them as well to, you know, get in the video. So, you know, be as friendly with people as possible, but you still gotta manage your time while being as friendly as possible to the people who are making this possible for you. That's rather important. And last of all, for like the fourth point, I guess, it would be the workspace, or like the work ethic of the Pep Rally team. The work ethic is pretty much the most important part of the Pep Rally team in general. First of all, let's make sure all your teammates are in the group chat. Doesn't matter where, Messenger, Snapchat, Facebook, anywhere. You have to have a group chat. You have to have constant communication. With me, Danny, Max, and Eli, we had a group chat in WhatsApp. We used to talk about, deadlines, schedules, whether we can make it to the game or not, whether we can edit like a certain portion or not, like that kind of thing. It's important to have that sort of communication with your teammates, just in case anything weird happens or like any other sort of hues just happen out of nowhere. Speaking of teammates, you should get along with the teammates. It doesn't matter if you don't like each other. You're there for a specific job, to film. You have to film and edit and do all these sort of things with them. If you don't like each other, at least try to have a middle ground where you can be like, hey, we don't like each other, but we still need to pull out a product. We still need to have an end product here, and we still need to make the masses happy, the thousands of people who are watching the video happy. We gotta make them happy. We gotta make each other have a positive experience instead of, letting each other down, I guess. Make sure each and every single one of your teammates has an established job. Like for me, for example, I was in charge of band and color guard, and Danny was in charge of cheer and dance, while Max was just in charge of football. Sometimes dance, since he was the dance manager and stuff. Each and every single one of you in charge of the job has to take full responsibility of the job. Like for example, you can't just do recording for one specific thing. You gotta have recording and editing for band color guard for one person. It seems a bit intense, but it's not. It's very easy once you get the hang of it. Usually we did it by splitting the work into groups, me, color guard, whatever, and in the end we used to stitch together whatever we had. Like for example, I had band and color guard like right there, and I'd stitch it together with cheer and football along with the intro to make the full video. It's not really hard once you get the hang of it. It's tough throughout the first weeks, obviously, because everything's tough at first. But you should be able to do it. You should be able to tackle this. It shouldn't be that hard. You guys have to be acquainted with the brightness room. You gotta get acquainted with this whole room, because you're gonna be here for a heck of a lot of time. This room is probably where you're gonna have your computer for what seems to be the first 9 weeks, or for as long as the Pep Rally videos keep coming. It's an important room, and you need to realize that you're gonna be here for a bit, and once you do, you'll get used to it. And another thing you gotta get comfortable with is airdrop. There's only 2 computers in this room. There's that one and there's one behind it. The way we made the videos was by stitching up the 3 parts together, and we used to get that computer to edit the whole thing together. You can do it another way, but the best way to do it would be to do it from 2 computers. One having in charge of 2 things and one being in charge of one thing. I'd put 1 in charge of football and 2 in charge of dance, cheer, band, and color guard. That seems like the most smart thing to do. Once either football or dance and cheer and band and color guard are done, I'd airdrop the files that they're in into the computer we're gonna stitch everything together with. Usually that'd be the computer with football on it. But you can do it whichever way you want. You can either airdrop it, you can use a USB drive. Either way, you gotta get comfortable with sharing all those different files, because it's pretty intense once you have really big files. You gotta move over from one side to another. If you have a flash drive, it might be pretty intense, because let's face it, it's a little thing that holds 20 gigabytes of data. It's not gonna hold that much. My main source of sending and stuff would be airdrop. Airdrop would be your best bet for sending files in and out and stuff. It would be perfect for you to get acquainted with airdrop, because it is perhaps the best thing. Also, one thing I should specify is getting a Pep Rally wall. That's one thing we really need to specify. That we right now have a wall. It's a chalk wall where the Pep Rally games are at. How many games are left, how many did we win, how many did we lose, did we go to playoffs, all that kind of thing. All that information is going to be stored in one wall, and that should be your main organization tool for the videos. You should put the dates of the pep rallies. You should put the dates of the games and like in total. You know, get creative as well. You don't want it to look bland and stuff, of course. And that's about it. Make sure you keep a good check on film, editing, socializing, and workspace. Those 4 need to be good. You need to be good with your teammates. You need to be good with everyone around you. Just make sure you get the job done and make sure it's done right. Anyways, next vid we'll talk about the first week and how it's gonna look. Fun! I'll catch you guys later.